County, Houston.
Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. And of course, good morning to the world. Everybody listening through the magic, or rather the world listening through the magic of the internet, the magic of the airwaves for Houston, the Houston area, internet for everywhere else. Guess who created that magical system? You, we the people of the United States. We are the ones who created it. And you know what? We are going to recover it. We are going to continue to make it. Look, we're kind of having a crazy start. I think it's all my fault that I couldn't get El Señor Neil Aquino in by the system. So we kind of did a magical way to do it. But before we get into all of that, let's pass it on to the studio with the geniuses. Welcome aboard, my dear brothers.
Jack, did you go and get the internet back from those billionaires? Have you done that yet?
I'm working on it.
I'm telling you, he's got a plan. Well, good morning, Egberto. It is Thursday morning at the radio, May Day, the 1st of May, 2025. And let's see, what do we have here? But yet another judge has blocked an order from Donald Trump, the immigration stuff. Says, no, you can't do that without a warrant.
Right.
And all the MAGAs are having a cow on Facebook. Oh, this judge can't do that. Oh, these radical judges. What they don't understand is the judges are protecting their rights.
Exactly.
I mean, look, when they run out of immigrants, okay, they're going to start deporting natural citizens for anything. They can just, and pardon the phrase, trump up something, throw you in jail, with no warrant and no reason and no recourse. These judges are protecting you against that because the MAGAs are such short-sighted. I swear. They have no depth of thought saying, oh, if this person can do this, if ICE can do this, then they can do that to me. And they can, unless a judge says, no, you can't. So MAGAs, you're being protected by these judges. I wouldn't be so quick to say, oh, these, what do they call them? These liberal judges, oh, these activist judges. No, they're protecting your rights and following the Constitution, what they swore to do when they were sworn in. They're going to protect the Constitution. They're going to protect your rights, even if you don't like it. Your rights are being protected. And that's my rant for this morning. Jack, you got a quarter page of wisdom here, so let's get to it.
Yeah, good morning, Egberto. How are you?
Good morning, Jack. How you doing, my dear brother?
I'm good. All right. This is disturbing when federal immigration agents violently raid the homes of U.S. citizens. This is more about projecting authoritarianism through violence than it is about immigration status. Are our federal agents America's new jackbooted thugs? This is alarming. It's a good reason to attend the May Day rallies to target Trump's attack on workers and social services. Excellent reason to show up.
They're the new SS.
Boy, oh boy. It's good the way you made that analogy, the new SS. And the thing that Jack spoke about is exactly what you inferred, Brother Howard. Listen to this. That story in Oklahoma, those were U.S. citizens. So for all of those who think these are liberal judges that are creating issues, it's not the case at all. But, before I get started, I want to make sure that we have good connectivity. Well, it's not going to be the best because we're doing it in an ad hoc fashion with our hermano, El Señor Neil Aquino. So, Neil, can you hear us just fine now or through the phone system? Neil? Uh,
Can hear you.
All right, great. It's red now. Neil, can you hear us now through the system? Fine.
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent, excellent. We just wanted to make sure that we have this quasi connectivity done. Beforehand, I want to welcome Joanne from Los Angeles, California, Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia, Jacqueline Campisi from Katy, Texas, and in our Substack, Gayla Kunis from Evans, Georgia, Lisa Englewood, David Corriveau, Sandra Norris, Freedom Depp, Mayday Strong, says Cheryl Elkins in Massachusetts. Boston, Massachusetts, that is. And by the way, sorry, as usual, I started the app late, so I missed a whole bunch of folks that started off early on, and the scroll doesn't copy. Anyhow, folks, without further ado, let's go ahead and defer to Neil because Neil wrote a blog a couple of days ago that sort of teed me off because we had, first of all, let's be clear here. Houston is a progressive city. Houston is a democratic city. Houston is a city that believes in progressive values. And every mayor, whether you like that mayor or not, has represented Houston well. Our current mayor, there is a big problem. And I think it is time for this to be highlighted often, often, and yet again, often. Brother Neil, take it away.
Right. So uh, Egberto and I, we usually talk it through a little bit as we begin. We have I have two posts from the Houston Democracy Project blog, HoustonDemocracyProject.com, both about Mayor Whitmire. And let me do the first. If you recall, at Houston ballot time in November of 2023, there were two propositions on the ballot. Proposition A, which increased the power of council, and Proposition B, which ordered the city to not rejoin or to change its membership status in the Houston Galveston Area Council, which does regional transportation, if it didn't get more representation. That's a simplification, but that's what it is. Proposition B passed with 65% of the vote, as did the other one, Prop A. 65% is better than Mayor Whitmire did on the 2023 ballot, but Mayor Whitmire will not implement it. This passed with 65% of the vote. It says that what it is that there are different entities: Montgomery County, Galveston County, different entities, Harris County, the city, and everyone has equal representation. It's like the Senate, where everyone has two votes, but the city has way more people than some of the other entities involved. Mayor Whitmire will not fulfill the wish of the voters on 65%. The blog post talks about a number of other cases where Mayor Whitmire has torn up the law. Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, let me ask you this, Neil, because I want people to understand that bill that passed by 65%. What exactly is it telling? I mean, what is it that the Houstonians voted for? Because it's important.
Correct. The the Houston Galveston Area Council, which is in charge of distributing federal funds. Of course, there may not be any more federal funds, infrastructure, climate mitigation, and all that including the I-45 expansion, which many people do not want. Under Proposition B, I'm reading from the Houston Chronicle. Under Proposition B, which was championed by the grassroots organization Fair for Houston, the city was supposed to receive proportional representation on council or would have to leave it. Negotiations with HGAC, but they weren't even negotiations. The city just said, hey, will you do it? HGAC said no, and that was the end of it. Failed to provide more representation. In Fair for Houston's Thursday letter, last Thursday, a week ago today, legal representatives gave the city three pathways to avoid consequences. The city could either leave the council, reopen negotiations for a better voting structure, or come to some other, or if that negotiation is not reached, pull out of HGAC. But the issue, so it is important what HGAC does, the Houston Galveston Area Council. It is important. But the larger issue here is that the voters voted for it, 65%, and Mayor Whitmire will not implement it, and no one on council, the only council member, Ed Pollard, is really the only one who has pressed that they leave. He won't implement it. So we're in this time of anti-democratic threats. They won't obey the law. There are other things I cite where the mayor has skirted the law, but I'll just mention one in particular. The Metro Next plan, which was approved by voters, I think, 6 years ago. Mayor Whitmire's administrative and board appointments at Metro have refused to follow the Metro Next plan, and they've canceled bus lines and things that were mandated by the plan. So Mayor Whitmire won't follow the voters' initiative, and finally, the Proposition B people have filed a lawsuit.
Now, while this is a local issue with our Houston mayor, this is something that is occurring throughout the country where the voters selected to do something and the people at the head decided not to implement it. And it's what's ironic. It is this particular mayor in Houston is a Democratic mayor, but he's acting more like the autocrat that many of the GOP folks act like our current president act, etc. I want to welcome Joanne, who's made it to Substack, as well as William from Buffalo, New York. Thank you, William, for being here. Jane, CG Janier, and quite a few others. Danaline Johnson as well. Now, Neil, there's another issue, a very important issue, and I think that you sent me that blog a couple of days ago. Are you ready to touch on that one yet?
That is an interesting ending. That is an interesting ending that I think may speak to our power as citizens. So Governor Abbott has been on his Twitter and Facebook feed. Governor Abbott has been directly attacking judges, Harris County Democratic judges. He's been naming them, including their picture. And in this environment of threats and aggression, what that sets them up for. He's maintaining that these judges are soft on crime. There's the Texas Constitution, the state of Texas Constitution limits the discretion that the judges have in setting bail. They have to offer bail, even in very difficult, even severe criminal cases. The Texas Constitution says it. Governor Abbott wants to change the Texas Constitution, but it requires, I believe, 2/3 of the legislature to get it out. And many Democrats don't support that because what the governor wants to do, it comes with a whole set of further restrictions on judges, and there's concern that it's not sufficiently protective of everyone's rights.
I want to add to that, Neil, the following, and this again for everybody: when you find these power-hungry governors or mayors, what they're trying to do, and I want folks to understand, they never tell you exactly why they're doing what they're doing. They want you to believe that you live in a town or a city or a province or a state full of crime. It's so bad.
Right.
Understand what's really happening here. They are looking for a source of widgets, human beings being the widgets, so that they can fix the law in such a manner that they can start throwing people into jails and eventually private jails. And even if it's public jails, the idea is all the food resources that go into that jail, security resources that go into that jail, etc., will then be farmed out to their friends. Again, it is maximizing profits from human beings. Whenever we talk about antiseptic slavery, these are the kinds of things that we're talking about. We are 4% of the population in the world, and we incarcerate more people than any other country bar none. But continue. I just wanted to add that to the mix, my brother.
That's that's helpful context. Governor Abbott held a press event yesterday at the local Crime Stoppers. So all the different cities have Crime Stoppers. There might be a Crime Stoppers for our international, for our global, national audience. He was Crime Stoppers here, at least, has become very politicized. I got a copy of the invite that Governor Abbott was sending out, and it said that Mayor Whitmire is going to be there. So Mayor Whitmire has been bashing the judges. He's been misrepresenting the facts about what's going on here in Harris County. I wrote a post saying, call your Democratic or email your Democratic council members and tell them to tell Mayor Whitmire to stop. Now, I know people did it. John Cotter of Humble Democrats did it. I know other people did it. There are other people who have been pressing Mayor Whitmire. And all I can tell you, at that press conference yesterday, which I watched for half an hour, so you didn't have to watch it. That's half an hour of my life I can't get back. But I watched that press conference, okay? I did some cleaning and dusting while I was watching it, so it wasn't a full waste. And he wasn't there. He wasn't there. The invite said he would be there. He's been talking it up. He's been working with the governor. He's been bashing the judges. The pressure was put on him. I can't tell you 100% why he wasn't there, but there's every reason to believe because there have been so many good people. Coach Cam Campbell has introduced a resolution that 30 Democratic precinct chairs and area congressional Democratic chairs have signed criticizing Mayor Whitmire for holding a fundraiser for the far-right Congressman Dan Crenshaw. Mayor Whitmire wasn't there after it was announced by the governor's office that he would be there. I think it's a testament to citizen power. And my theme here, and wherever you are, Atlanta, Egberto, I read recently that the Cop City facility just opened in Atlanta after there was such
A huge
big
protest, yeah. In fact, that a kid got killed out there.
Yep, absolutely. And and they tried to criminalize it's a whole different story, but they tried to criminalize the protesters and charges that were dropped. Mayor Whitmire didn't come. People did call, not just because of me. I'd like to think I had a role, but you can act locally, and it's important. Local Democrats need to have our backs. Our local 10 Democrats on city council need to have our backs. Mayor Whitmire wasn't there, and we need to keep the pressure up on him. And we need to stop this move, as Egberto well said, to a prison state, especially when we have a lawless national administration.
One wonders, Neil, if Democrats who, um, if you recall during the campaign for his vote, he got a lot of conservative votes. In fact, if you take a look at the way the vote displays, there was a big campaign by Republicans here in Kingwood, and in several other parts of the city area to support this guy. And one of the biggest problems is how many Democrats came out to vote. The Honorable Sheila Jackson Lee, her district was did perform as well for her. That probably would have made a significant difference in how the election had turned out. But I hope that with what a lot of the information that you've been putting out there and others have been putting out there, people understand that this is a democratic city, this is a blue
Right.
city, this is a progressive city, and deserve the type of leadership that reflects who the city is. Continue, my brother.
So a couple of great points there. We have to stop tolerating Sheila Jackson Lee, rest her soul, but we need to stop tolerating long-term Democrats who sit in these seats and don't build turnout. So turnout, as I recall, was 17%. Excuse me if that's not the exact number, but my
It was
recollection,
low. It was very low. Yes.
the 2023 mayoral election. Mayor Whitmire had been in office literally for 52 years. I'm not making that up. between the state house and state senate. Sheila Jackson Lee had held various offices, I think, for at least 35 years. They could not generate extra turnout in either Mayor Whitmire's Senate district or Congresswoman Jackson Lee's House district. So, and subsequently, I'll say in Sheila Jackson Lee's House district, Mayor Turner, who had been ill, was then elected to replace Sheila Jackson Lee, rest his soul as well. I'm sorry that he passed, but we need to stop. We didn't need a 71, 72-year-old freshman congressman. And now that he's passed, Governor Abbott won't call is waiting 8 months to fill the seat. And those people in 18 are without representation.
Which is sad. This is a problem within the Democratic Party of having this seniority thing and people not knowing when to leave. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was running to be, and by the way, she's a very schooled person, one of the smartest Congress people out there. I've interviewed her a couple of times. Moreover, everybody who knows her in committee meetings know that she goes well prepared, more prepared than anybody else. So she knows the material, she researches the material. They try to make a caricature of her because they're so very scared of her. Now, she ran against Connolly to be the Ways and Means Committee, and everyone knew at 75 Connolly was a bit frail. And we wish no harm, no illness, no sickness on anyone, but the guy has cancer and his esophageal cancer recurred, and here it is, 3 months into the session, he has to step down from the Ways and Means Committee, which means all the work that could have been done, the output that could have been done by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez went undone. Folks need to know when it's time to leave. We have a special announcement that's coming on right now, Neil, for the activity that will be going on today around the city. Let's get the president of the Houston Peace and Justice Center on. That is Sophia Moreau. Let's get Sophia on the line. Sophia, how you doing, sis?
Hey, good morning, everyone. How are you guys?
We're doing great. Sophia, there's a whole lot happening today, and I know you're very involved in helping put all this stuff together for today. Why don't you tell us something about it?
Well, Alianza Latina Internacional had the idea to have a march for immigrant rights for May Day, and we've been working on that since January, and it's going to happen May 3rd, which is this Saturday. And we are having a press conference this morning, and we are going to be in front of the Salvadorian consulate on Bissonnette.
What's the address, Sophia, on Bissonnette?
What's that?
What is the Bissonnette address? Do you have that with you, or if not, it's okay.
I think it's 3800 Bissonnette.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
Okay, so these are difficult times. When we started organizing this march, this was just a couple of weeks before we had that very organic pouring out in the streets back in February, where we had something like 20,000 people come to the streets. Now today, fast forward less than 100 days later, much of those people who are on the streets are really afraid to come out. And so it's even more imperative that we as citizens exercise our duty to be out in the street and stand up for them and reject all the propaganda, the racist tropes, and these unconstitutional actions of both our state and federal administration.
Yeah, it is sad. I mean, the truth is, Sophia, is that we need these immigrants, and I'm not going to come out and say, oh, we need undocumented workers, but absent undocumented workers, sadly, the economy simply doesn't function as efficiently. I mean, what we really need is legislation to protect, to really speed up the ability for us to bring these workers into the country. But I think the work that you're doing, along with Alianza Latina Internacional, is so important. So tell us again where it's going to be and the two events. I think it's a press conference today and then the march on Saturday.
Right. So the press conference today is at 3800 Bissonnet in front of the El Salvador consulate at noon. And then marchers are going to be gathering on Saturday at 10 a.m. at 5800 Bel Air Boulevard. And it'll be a short march to the Burnett Balin Park, which is on the corner of Chimney Rock and Gulfton, one of our most populated immigrant neighborhoods, one of our neighborhoods filled with the people, our neighbors and our
Hmm.
friends, right?
Right.
They are going to be there, and we want to just stand with them. And even if they are afraid to come out, we want to show them that they are not forgotten and that we as Americans do stand with them.
Look, thank you so kindly. I mean, this is so important, the work that you're doing. And again, folks, this is the president of the Houston Peace and Justice Center. She just got there and took the bull by both horns and just been going one after the other. Look, thank you for all the work that you're doing, Sophia. It is very much appreciated.
Thank you, Roberto, for everything you do. And Neil, you too. And Neil, I hope we see you either at the press conference or on Saturday.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank,
bye. You guys.
thank you so kindly, Sophia. Yeah, Neil. Yeah, but going before we continue the issue, this immigration. Look, I am an immigrant. I'm a first generation American citizen. And the truth of the matter is, when we talk about everybody being immigrant, whether it's you're now third generation, fourth generation, it doesn't matter. You're immigrants. And to be able to, to take the spoils of this country and then say, but it's just for us. When our history of forming this country was is a tarnished history anyway, uh, it lends itself to show that the evil that some can possess from within. I want to tell all of those that have bought onto the right wing Kool-Aid, don't let these hateful people, and I'm talking to good Republicans, good conservatives, good people on the right, don't let the evil from a few pollute your heart, pollute your mind. Remember, for those of you that are Christians, remember what Jesus talked about: the stranger, the foreigner, the one from outside. For those that are just that are just humanists or otherwise, remember how you want to be treated as a human being. Don't let these guys with their evil. I mean, during the Hitler time, most Germans weren't bad. They just allowed themselves to be led by evil. We as Americans are making the same mistake over the last several years. And it's something we better look into our hearts to fix. First of all, the lies that they tell you about the immigrant, the lies they tell you about the immigrant and violence, the lie they tell you about immigrants and whether they take your jobs. These lies are going to be made to come out pretty damn soon, as you see your prices go up for one of several reasons: the inability of farmers to get the help they need to cultivate their lands, as well as the tariffs that's there to take your money and send it off to the rich guy's tax cut. Stop being used by the evil on the right side of the aisle. And I'm not talking about the people proper, the rank and file, because we're all victims of how we were reared. We're all victims of the news that we inhale. We're all victims of what we have allowed ourselves to hear. You can solve that. If you're listening to my voice today, if you're listening to Neil's voice, if you've listened to Sophia, we can actually make a difference. So I'm asking you guys, don't allow yourself, don't allow yourself to be your heart to be destroyed by what these guys are doing. Yes, I'm coming to you, Neil, in a second, but this one hurts to the core. Yesterday, there was a woman and her daughter in a house in Oklahoma. I'm going to play the video tomorrow. We have Neil today, so we don't have the time to play it. I'll play the video tomorrow. But there's this woman and her daughter in the house. And here comes a part of Homeland Security. They don't really tell you who they are, but they have supposedly somebody in that house. These are American citizens in this house. And here comes Homeland Security like animals, like rabid animals. Break down the doors, splinter glass, everything. The woman and her daughter, and by the way, these are American naturalized citizens. Yes, they have a slight accent. Break down the door. The daughter is in her underwear. The mother is scared to death. She don't expect somebody to break down her door. And these animals that came in to that home took that young teenager in her underwear and threw her outside in the rain. In the rain, threw her outside and the mother as they ransacked a home, even as the mother said, "This must be a mistake. This must be a mistake. We just moved here," etc. These animals, these Trump driven animals, that's what they did to the young lady and her mom. Inhumane. I don't know if you guys remember our program a couple of weeks ago where we spoke about if you first make them inhumane, if you take away one's humanity at first, then you can do anything to them because you have taken away their humanity. That's what this country at some point in time have done with the indigenous. That's what this country in some time has done to the Japanese. That's what this country has done in some time to black folk. That's what this country has done to the immigrant. You make people feel they are no longer, that they're not humans. And then your thugs and your animals can treat them as such. Your police officers will treat them as such. And while now it is occurring to brown people, don't think you couldn't be next. You know, any family could have been in that home. Any family could have been in that home. If I am a dad, I have a daughter. I couldn't picture myself, even if it is the daughter of a kingpin, I could not picture myself taking a female, a human being, and in their underwear and inhumanely throwing them outside in the rain. What kind of people are we talking about that will take on the job from this president that we currently have? What kind of person would do that? So I want all of you, right wingers, left, everybody that's listening right now, think about your own daughter, your own family, if somebody did that to them. Think about it. Neil, come on in, brother.
Right. I was just reading some of the details. You can Google that Oklahoma City ICE, Oklahoma TV station, KFOR, and 20 agents, 20 agents, and all the things that you described. And there's more details, but you can read about it. I want to inform folks there are 2 protests today downtown. There are protests elsewhere as well. May Day, 50501. There's one in Conroe, I know, and I believe there's one in Galveston. But look around. Today at noon. Today at noon at 1208 Franklin Street downtown, and that's one of our courthouses. Law Day of Action. Principles of judicial independence, legal profession. Attacks on judges for unpopular rulings. You know, the judge was arrested since I was on the air last week. The judge in Wisconsin. This protest, the members, legal community, lawyers, but anyone can go. I'm going. I know other friends who are going. This is a law day of action at noon, 12:08 Franklin. It's supposed to be a short rally, and then there's a 5:05:01 event today at City Hall. There's a march at 4 o'clock. These are the people who's had protests on April 5th, 19th, on President's Day in February. At 4 o'clock, there's a march at Houston City Hall today, May Day, and then there's a rally and program at 5 o'clock. But those events are today, and there are other ones. Google around. I've been looking for a comprehensive list this morning, and I'm not finding it. But there are other ones. And Conroe has had consistently large events for 5:05:01, and I know I heard that there was one today, but there are actions to take today.
Yeah, so Sophia mentioned the press conference, and Neil, I hope you can get to either one of them. The one that Sophia spoke about, as well as the 505. It's actually Alianza Latina Internacional, I think is the one, and they're members of the Houston Peace and Justice Center as well for the event on Saturday. But this is so important. Now, this is where we determine what kind of country we are going to be. And I don't know if you listened to the program yesterday. We had a Nigerian. I mean, I clipped the piece where she called in and spoke about those of us that came here over the last generation, how our parents talked about America being the land of opportunity, and as we've gotten here, and this Nigerian woman could have been my sister, because the same things her parents were telling her. It's the same thing my parents told me as I came here to America. Let's go to Johnny, line number 2. Come on in, brother Johnny. How are you doing?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on, Johnny.
Okay, I didn't hear the thing. Okay, that's confusing. So you know what else gets me angry, gets my blood boiling, is another method of arrest, if you will, is when they show these guys, whether they're in uniform or not, they get the long metal bludgeon and they just break somebody's car window. Who pays for that when everything is settled and all the dust is clear and these people are proven to have been arrested wrongfully? Does the city or the county say, oops, sorry, our bad, here's a check to cover the cost of repairing your vehicle? Who covers that?
That's a good question, Johnny. I don't know. I would think that if they made a mistake, they're responsible.
And they cops have been known to take people's cash out of their pockets and literally pocket their cash and not return them. No receipt with a signature and a badge number that shows this property, this cash, this cell phone was taken on this day at this time at this location. What about that? What are the provisions for cops to enforce the law?
But
the law.
there's something, Johnny. There's something that let me tell you that Texas is a concealed carry state. It is also a stand your ground state. Here is what I am waiting to happen. These guys come and they arrest you unmarked. They come and they terrorize you. They come and they break into you. I am waiting for them to do that to one of our good old cowboys out here, and this cowboy uses gun and open up and blow them. I am waiting for that accident to happen, right? Because it's gonna happen. We are an open carry state. We are a concealed carry state. We are a stand your ground state. Let's see what happens when they make that mistake with somebody who's a stand your ground and blow them up. Let's see what the news media is going to say then, because these guys are so short-sighted. They don't see that their laws and the way they implement these things are diametrically opposed. So let's wait to see what happens. Continue, Johnny, before I jump to Patrick.
Okay, these cops, as you're referring to, are rogue cops. They're short-sighted. They're ill-informed, and now our friend from the other side of the aisle, Brian, would have us believe that they are endowed with the legal authority to act on their own without the backup of courts, judicial papers, warrants, and such. Just roam the streets, and the person that doesn't look to your liking, you can arrest them and or disappear them.
Exactly. Exactly.
Likelihood of on a cowboy, that's not likely. You know why? Because they know how they look. They recognize each other. It's like a
Right.
secret society. No, you and me, we're the ones that are a threat next.
Johnny, thank you. I got to go to Patrick. It's never happening says there are no cops. Also said they are targeting states that do not have those laws. Joanne says real cowboys don't need guns. Cheryl says it's definitely coming, Egberto. It's definitely coming. Let's see if I have anybody else here. Editing Richard Francis, Dr. Richard Francis has a message coming. Let's go to Brother Patrick. Come on in, Patrick. And Glenn Ryan, welcome to the chat as well as Eric Hayes. Eric Hayes doing his normal in the chat. Go ahead, Patrick.
They know it's coming. They just know that they're not the ones that are going to get shot. They're giving directions to people that they find expendable, and that's police. They always have found them expendable. That's one of the reasons why they're stressed out and don't always act correctly. And one thing that we should be focused on, I think that we're not really looking at, is that there were 20 people to arrest 2 people. 20 guns going into a very small area.
Right.
That's all on purpose. Again, I talked to you about the no-knock warrants from the drug war, and that's exactly what they do. That's all on purpose. And they get really excited beforehand. All the adrenaline's pumping. They've got their full body armor on, automatic weapons. They go in ready to hurt somebody and excited to. But that's not why I called.
Yeah, before you finish up, that's why I call them, and I mean this to the depths of my heart. That's why I call them just animals, because anybody that doesn't have feelings for another human being, that they'll just tear them apart, they're animals. Go ahead, brother.
I think last week some of the headlines captured the fact that we denied FEMA aid to a very bad flood
In Arkansas.
Red State, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Go ahead. Okay. Oh, Neil says Kentucky as well. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Okay. Yeah, there's a reason why they're doing that, and they need that money for something else.
Mm-hmm.
They are using FEMA money. They're passing the bill right now that allocates $300 million to law enforcement to protect Trump while he golfs. That's under FEMA. I'm dead serious.
Oh
I'm
man,
dead.
I hadn't heard that one, but that is pathetic. That is pathetic. Yeah, I hadn't heard that one. Well, thank you for that, Patrick.
And I think his attendance at a golf course is either 4-1 or 3-1 as far as every 3 days he's playing golf.
You know, it is sad. Pamela Daniel says, did the Republicans just vote giving Trump the okay to deport U.S. citizens? I didn't hear about a vote that do that. Now, now Donald Trump could disobey the law and do that, but no, I haven't heard of any vote that specifically allowed the deportation of U.S. citizens, because that is actually unconstitutional. Neil, did you hear anything about that?
I'm not sure what specifically. Obviously, the concern that they're doing it anyway.
Exactly. But no, there's nothing legal or official, by the way, based on the Bill of Rights, let's see, who said that? I think it was Pamela. Based on the Bill of Rights, that is unconstitutional. So anytime you hear about the deportation of a United States citizen to some foreign country, that's an unconstitutional act. I think it is, what is it, the Fourth Amendment? I don't remember what amendment it is right now, but it would be an unconstitutional act. All right, let's see. Go ahead, Patrick, so I can get to Brian. Finish your thought.
Well, that was pretty much it. But now that you're on it, there does seem to be a slow push towards using the military against American citizens, and they're considering that on the border right now.
Okay, yeah, but let me just say this, because I think Howard just said that the House did pass it. Howard, that went above my head. Tell us a little bit about that, because let's make sure our people are informed correctly.
It's a resolution right now. They just passed it saying, yes, you can deport U.S. citizens.
So it's a
Now,
resolution, not a bill.
I think that it's a resolution. I don't think it's a bill yet.
Okay, good, good.
You know how these
So
things go.
oh yeah, so there you go, Pamela. Apparently, what I would, based on what Howard is saying, what I think Congress is trying to do is legitimize the crap that you hear Donald Trump just spew over and over. But even if they were to pass a bill, as Howard said, it's a resolution. Even if they were to pass a bill, that could not pass constitutional muster unless the judiciary decided to become an unconstitutional agent of the president. All right. Thank you, Patrick. Let me jump to Brian, and then we'll move on. See you at 3. Brian, come on in.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, am I on? Am I on?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So, does Jake Trapper work for CBS or CNN?
CNN.
Yeah, and the blurred pictures, was that on CBS or CNN?
I
When
don't
they
know.
blurred out the faces of the illegal aliens?
CBS.
Yeah, Howard.
Okay. Howard
No,
says CBS.
no,
CBS.
Howard. No,
Okay.
Howard. It
Well,
was
thank
CNN.
you for correcting me, Brian. I saw it on this myself. So go
Yeah.
ahead. What was it on?
Yeah.
Tell me, what was it on?
It was on It was on CNN.
And
Jake
CBS.
Okay, I didn't see CBS. I
Well,
just
it was
saw
there.
CNN.
Well, because you didn't
Okay,
see it
no,
doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Okay, well, I looked for it on CNN.
Okay, look, Brian, make your point. I mean, going back and forth is childish. Make your point.
Yeah, okay. I also saw the report by Rachel Maddow, how bleeding heart liberals, the police made a mistake and they blurred that woman's face out too because she didn't want to be recognized.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Listen to yourself. If the cops came into your house as they did that woman, would you be just placid and say, "Oh, they made a mistake"? The animalistic and throwing a child in underwear on the lawn. Would you be that passive if that child with the underwear was your daughter?
Did
Would
they
you
throw
be that passive?
Hey, would you? I didn't hear this. I didn't hear this correct. They threw a baby on the lawn?
No, they threw
Say that?
a teenager in her underwear on the lawn in the rain. If that was your daughter, would you be okay with that? I mean, I don't care if you're going in to arrest somebody. That is inhumane behavior of an animal. And I think you, as a human being, should feel that way as well.
I'm going to check into that. I don't think that happened.
Well, okay, I tell you what, you call back
Well,
when you check into it because that happened. Goodbye. Not because you don't know it means it didn't happen. I mean, and that's the thing with a whole lot of these folks on the right. They get misinformation and they think that's the world. We go ahead and we get informed, whether it's on good, bad, or whatever, you get informed. You don't come with your partial point of view and have an assertive attitude. Have some humility. Pamela called and made a mention about a bill. I hadn't heard about it. I knew it's unconstitutional, so I said it's impossible. I get a text from Howard that says, "Hey, guy, something passed. I want you guys to know important information." I didn't give Pamela a complete answer. Brother Howard filled it out. That is how you inform. You don't come asserting something, and when it's made different, well, I didn't hear that, so it's not so. You don't do that, folks. That is how you learn. Go ahead, Neil, please.
I would just say, the Trump did the executive order over the last week, strengthening the powers of police, talking about police-military cooperation. So when we talk about what's coming, deportations of citizens, changes in concepts of who is a citizen. You see the birthright citizenship fight that's going on, police cooperating with military in cities, and all of these things are possible. And it's important that we understand that they are possible, that they are being, the infrastructure is being created, the permission structure is being created. And it can happen here, to use the cliche.
Let me give you a quick thing that happened. Rachel might have pointed this out. I didn't hear about it till Rachel said. And by the way, Lisa's last word. Lisa said, "Egberto, breathe, breathe, breathe." I need to breathe, but when people start to harm humans, it does something to me. When you're starting to harm somebody. But here's what I didn't know about this one, and it hasn't been well publicized. Donald Trump took a strip of land along the border on several states and made it a military base. Just a piece of empty land. Made it one of the executive orders, made it a military base. You know why he did that? To get around the Posse Comitatus, right? Because now, while the United States military, cannot go into regular civilian land and arrest people, guess what the military can do on its own base? They can arrest folk. So all you do is you make part of the border a base, and then the military can act. You see the kinds of things these people would go in and do just to control yourself. Neil, I couldn't believe that one that Rachel said. And the saddest part about it, Neil, is the mainstream media, other than Rachel Maddow, they aren't talking about it.
You see reports about there were a lot of reports. There were reports about the executive order over the week, but the mainstream media remains. They still, and there's and I want to say, when we criticize the mainstream media, I take the Houston Chronicle with a digital subscription.
I do too, yeah.
There's a lot of, I think sometimes the term gets thrown out. There's a lot of good local reporting, important, informative reporting, and I encourage people to do it. But they remain in a difficult place because the reality of what's being planned or is so terrible. And elicit such cries of, "Hey, that's not true," and threats to shut down, pull down a license, that it remains difficult for them to get their hands around it.
I'm glad that you said that, because I think we ought to really point that out. There are a lot of reporters, a lot of journalists that work for all these papers, whether it be the New York Times, whether it be Washington Post, Houston Chronicle, the Atlanta Journal, the LA Times, etc. A lot of good reporters. Unfortunately, before any story goes out on these papers, it has to go through editors. And many a times, these editors that are working in these places, they change the headlines to either pacify, change the headlines to appease. In the case of Bezos and Washington Post, they actually stopped what the reporters wanted to do. As remember, they wanted to. Go ahead. Let
me draw a little bit of a distinction. I think that editing process is probably pretty benign in most cases. What you've seen with Bezos at the Washington Post, or the owner at the Los Angeles Times, I'm sorry, I forget his name. There's been they've been interfering with the editorials.
Exactly.
The news content, that process of handing it to an editor, that's standard practice, and that frequently makes the story better. But the corporate interference has been a repeated issue.
And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about good editing to make the story better. I'm talking about whenever you're editing to ensure that you don't get Donald Trump mad, like what Bezos did. And what we have is several editors leaving, like what happened with 60 Minutes. Okay, 60 Minutes, right. The editor, rather than pass it through the corporate political wing of CBS, he just said, "I will not be a part of it. Goodbye." And the good thing about it is that the correspondents came out and told the truth as far as what happened. Continue, brother.
You see where Amazon caved, where they were going to list the tariff prices. You buy something and they were going to tell you this costs $4 more because of a tariff, and Bezos caved on that.
It's interesting because here's the thing, Neil. The Amazon and all these folks that sell Chinese goods, right? It's a big racket, right? Because the Chinese goods are ultra cheap because of the power of the dollar, etc., and their efficiency. They are much more efficient than we are from a manufacturing standpoint. And I honestly wonder if Bezos, if the president, and this is an alternate way of interpreting this, and it may not be so, but this is what I started to think. The president may have thrown Bezos a lifeline in that regards, and let me tell you how. If we start putting, let's say, and I gave this yesterday on my 3 o'clock show. This is my mouse here. This mouse in China may cost China a couple dollars to make this thing. All right, but this sells for, let's say, $20 on Amazon, $25 on Amazon. If they go ahead and put what the 145% markup that Donald Trump is putting on products from Chinese, given that they bought this product for $2, that's going to be an extra $1.45 on $25. Even though it's a large amount, Americans will see, well, the tariff portion of that is $1.45. And when they look at that and they say, well, if the tariff portion is $1.45 and the tariff is 145%, hell, I am buying a $2 product for $25. So I don't know. You know what I think about the corporate taxes. Go ahead, brother.
Well, that was a TikTok. That was a TikTok thing. When the tariffs were announced, there were all these luxury goods where the Chinese, because TikTok is a Chinese propaganda source to many, but all these Chinese sellers came on and said, hey, your Gucci purse, or wherever it is, it really costs $6 to make. Or
right.
About luxury goods that did exactly that. It did help reveal what the actual cost of things were.
Right. And I think Americans, when they see that, they'll get mad. All right. Look, I didn't see Harry on, but Harry, 30 seconds, brother. I didn't see you on. Forgive me. 30 seconds, and then I got to go to the studio.
Yeah. Okay. Hello?
Go 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Go quick.
Yeah. Well,
my brother.
About the ICE. So if these ICE people show up at your home, and you were talking about open carry, concealed carry, and you stand your ground.
Thank you. I gotta go. Studio.
Okay, we're out of time, so I'll just save this for tomorrow.
Thank you. Neil, close out. Where do people find you real quick?
HoustonDemocracyProject.com, local politics. Don't forget it. You have influence.
Thank you so kindly, guys. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.